Welcome to the place where we learn about improv. Cause public speaking can take you so far. Improvly speaking, say yes and flex your creative thinking. Improvly speaking, say yes and flex your creative thinking.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Improvly Speaking podcast. I'm your host, Dayna Gowan, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. And I am super excited about today's episode and guest. You are in for such a special treat. So if you're joining us for the first time, let me give you a quick rundown of what this podcast is all about, some of the goals and outcomes we're trying to get out of today's podcast. One, we want to help you understand the benefits of improvisation. In case you don't know the benefits already, maybe you're a non-improviser wanting to know more about improv, you've come to the right place. Two, to demonstrate how improv shows up in all aspects of our lives, and truly it does. This podcast is setting out on a mission to prove that, and I think we're doing a pretty good job so far. And three, to inspire you to try new things, get out of your head and judgment zone, and find creative outlets and passions that can help you. And a little fourth extra goal that I like to throw in really for myself and this podcast is to talk to inspiring and interesting people. And so far, 100 out of 100, all the guests on here have been amazing to talk to. And I know our guest today will be absolutely inspiring and interesting. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our special guest today, Amanda Bonar. Amanda Bonar is an improv and sketch comedian based in LA. Amanda is a member of the improv teams Wild and Dick Cannon, and now also The Sober Show. Wild hosts Indie Night at Upright Citizens Brigade, or UCB, which is an improv show featuring indie improv teams, local indie improv teams. Dick Cannon hosts Do the Dumb Show at UCB, which is a late night, very silly bit show. And we'll talk about this more. That is putting it lightly, that it's a silly bit show. There's a lot more to it than that. And she also recently joined and started The Sober Show, which is a new show at UCB that has sober improvisers performing scenes based on the audience's drunk stories. Amanda has appeared on improv podcasts like Improv for Humans with Matt Besser, The Dumbbells, and My Neighbors Are Dead. Please welcome the amazing, the awesome, the very active Amanda Bonar. Yay, Amanda!
Yay me. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm very, very excited to talk some improv.
Yes, talking all about improv today. I love it. And I love that you're here. And I love, too, how we met. I had to think back a little bit on how we met because I will say the pandemic years kind of blend together a little bit. But we met in Jim Woods's one of the first Ouija's classes, WGIS, World's Greatest Improv School. I think they're going by Ouija's now. One of the first Ouija's classes, and I think it was Jim's class in June or July 2021. Does that sound right to you?
Was it that long ago? Oh my gosh.
Right?
Now I'm questioning that.
I honestly,
I don't know.
I could have sworn it was like last year, but I'm pretty sure it was like July 2021.
Wow. Yeah, that was the first Ouija's class I had ever taken. And yeah, I didn't know anybody in that class, which pre-pandemic, I felt like I knew so many people in the improv scene. And then post-pandemic, I was like, who are all these people who popped up out of nowhere almost? And now, it's like a whole new generation of improvisers. It's great.
I love that. Yeah. And I mean, I know I popped up because I was doing mostly online improv. I did one class pre-pandemic in person, and then everything was online after that. And so Jim's class, we had done one class with Jim before that, and then he offered a part 2 Harold class, which I think is what you joined. And of course, it was the early stages of we were at Molly Malone's bar doing improv at a bar on a Sunday afternoon at 12 o'clock. Like, very early roots, early beginnings. It was fun.
Yeah, that was a great space. It was a weird space to do improv, but I love it.
Very weird space to do improv. I think one time I did a scene and I was very committed and I laid on the floor, like my character had to lay down or something. And I laid on the floor and put my face on the floor. And then the next day I did not feel well. And I was like, well, no wonder
Oh
I put my
no.
face on a bar floor. Like, that's disgusting.
Oh. I'm so proud of you for your commitment to improv, though, that you put your own safety back of mind so that you, as your character, could do the thing that you felt was right.
Exactly. You know, I'm always saying I'm not committing enough, but there I sure did. And I felt the effects of that
uh,
commitment the day after.
yeah, I've licked the Clubhouse stage floor before, and the Clubhouse is like a really shitty in a loving way, like a really shitty indie
Correct.
improv theater in Los Angeles, and it's a wonderful space that is never clean ever somehow. And
Sure.
I've licked that
Mm-mm.
stage floor before. And same thing where I later was like, oh, I'm going to get sick 1,000%. There's no way. I'm not. It's just,
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
I have to ask, and I know we're gonna get into more of the Do the Dumb. Was that part of the Do the Dumb show?
It was not, but it was the same team. My team, Dick Cannon,
Okay.
has done a lot of very weird, crazy, stupid things. And yes, licking a stage floor was part of that. Our whole vibe.
Perfect. Perfect. Amazing. Amanda, I'm so glad we met in Jim's class, and I have so many questions and things I want to start with, but I'll start with the most generic but also most fun question. Can you tell us more about your improv and sketch comedy journey? Like, how did you get started in improv and comedy?
Yeah, I was thinking about this recently. When I was a kid, I like my parents would take me to see a lot of theater. My mom and I went to see a lot of theater. And when I was 10, an improv theater opened up in San Diego, like near where we lived. So I saw my first improv show when I was 10 and I loved it immediately. And I just thought it was magic. We went pretty often and I just knew all the regular performers. It just was so cool. It like hit me at a very specific age. So I took a couple like kids improv classes when I was around that age, but I'd say my improv
Oh,
like
nice.
career started when I was a freshman in high school. I auditioned for my high school's improv team. This is all short form, and I made the team as a freshman. I was the only freshman, and I was one of two girls. And then
Wow, bravo.
thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I was really bad for 3 years. But then same thing in college. I ended up auditioning for my college's improv team. Again, like all like short form stuff. Made the team as a freshman and then I did that for 4 years. And after that I moved to LA and I just kept doing improv. So yeah, this I'll be 34 this upcoming year. So I've been doing improv for like almost 20 years, which is crazy. And so much of that, again, it was short form. Like I didn't start doing long form until I moved to LA. But that's so long. That's so long to be doing this.
That's amazing. What a resume. Okay, first, I've got to ask, you saw improv shows when you were 10. Were they family-friendly improv shows? They were labeled as kids shows?
Yeah, it was a version of like comedy sports, which a lot of cities have. It's like a short
Okay.
form theater. And it is like it's a clean improv show. I think they sometimes do like a midnight show that is adults only, but like it's meant to be very family and kid friendly.
That's awesome. I love that your mom took you to that. What cool memories, and that's so special. I did not know improv existed, I don't know, until my mid-20s when I discovered Comedy Bang Bang and stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
That was a whole world that just wasn't available to me in New Orleans, in the South, really, where I grew up.
Yeah, it exists so much more in really any major city for sure, and a lot of smaller cities as well. It really has spread. So that's a really nice thing. Like I moved to LA and I think improv really kept me in LA. I love LA now. I really don't plan on leaving, but it is nice to know if I ever left, I could probably do improv most places now. It's much more like well known than it was when, we were growing up and stuff.
Yeah, I do love that. It is spreading and it is in more smaller markets too. And I think people are really seeing the benefits of it and the love for it. And so that is cool to go to smaller cities and find the little gem theaters and go see a show there. I have to ask too, what was your favorite theater show with your mom when you were little?
I saw a lot of musicals. Godspell is a favorite. I really love Evita.
Nice.
Chorus Line was a favorite. I would say those were the three that I loved the most as a kid. And then like when I got older, I got into like Last 5 Years and like some of the more like Sondheim and stuff. But as a kid,
Yeah.
probably Evita and Godspell for sure. Godspell still might have the number one
Oh.
spot in my heart.
Oh, I love it. I feel like I'm like catching up for lost time because I just wasn't like a theater kid. Like we did sports. We did not do like arts a
Ah,
ton. And so now I'm like, I have to be more cultured and go to all these cool shows that I just didn't see as a kid. And I don't blame anyone. I don't blame my parents.
mhm.
It's fine. It's fine. We didn't go see musical shows. But now I recognize I just want to now as an adult.
Yeah, because you're doing like musical improv and stuff too, which is like a whole nother. Phew.
Yeah, I won't claim to be good at it, but I am doing it and I am enjoying it. And it's really pushing me to have a better stage performance and a stage presence and
Mhm.
also just be able to think of anything on the spot. Because if you can sing on stage and do a scene and a song, honestly, you can do anything else, is my opinion after doing musical improv.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet regular improv feels easier or at least lower stakes after doing musical improv. Where you're like, oh, I don't have to sing anything. I just have to, great, okay, I can do this.
For sure. I feel that so much.
I'm having the opposite journey now where I was not a sports kid, no athletics, whatever. And now I'm still doing improv, obviously, lots of theater, but I'm doing more like weightlifting stuff now. And I'm like, oh, this is what it feels like to be physical and like get your heart rate up and run around. So we're having opposite experiences and becoming very well-rounded people in the meantime.
Go us. We're
Yes.
flexing our muscles right now. Go us for yeah. I think that's a cool journey though, because you can definitely get burned out on things if you do it too much.
Mhm.
And so it is just so fun to have these creative outlets and be able to explore. Sometimes I get so in my bubble of like work and being an adult, and you like forget to have fun and move your body and just enjoy yourself. So all these outlets like improv and working out, it helps me a ton.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also just like each of these things feels like a nice little reminder to be like, this is what life is supposed to be about. I also get really caught up in work and then just being like, oh, I worked. I don't want to do anything tonight. And it's, I
Mhm.
work because I have to, because I need money, because of society. But that's like not the fun part. That's not the thing that gives me energy from doing it. And so it almost feels like an act of rebellion to be like, yeah, I'm going to have hobbies outside of work and I'm going to do them and I'm going to make friends and I'm going to have fun. And capitalism can't stop me.
Take that world. I'm going to still have fun, even though you don't want me to,
Yeah, I'm going to go play pretend on stage.
with a bunch of other adults.
Yeah, it's cool. I promise.
Yeah, we're selling it really well too right now.
I so often, especially recently, have like had a lot of moments of really just being like, how did I stumble into this weird subculture? Like when you're in it, it feels so encompassing. And I'm just like, everything is about like performance and the teachers and the teams and the theaters. And then I'll talk to somebody and they'll be like, oh, what hobbies do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm part of UCB. And they're like, I don't know what that is. And I just like, oh, this thing that is like my world you've never even heard of. Or like you think I'm talking about stand
Uh-huh.
up, which like is fine. People don't need to be all knowing of the things that I am all knowing in. But it really does humble you a little bit when you're like, yes, this is a niche thing in many ways.
Uh-huh. Well, and I've also been humbled when I go to improv camp. So I'm amongst like 80 to
Hmm.
90 other improvisers who that is all our
Yeah.
main hobbies. And then someone asks, what do you do outside of improv? And I'm like, wait, improv's my main hobby. Like I'm supposed to have something else that I do. So that's always fun too. Is like, oh, I need another hobby outside of improv camp now just to be able to talk to other improvisers because everyone's so well-rounded. It's funny. That's kind of humbled me too.
Wow. Even amongst the improv nerds, there's still competition to be doing more.
Right? Well, and that was one of my questions too. What has made you want to keep going in improv and comedy all these years? So you have 20 years of improv on your resume. And by the way, do not sell it short. Short form improv is still improv and it's hard too. And it is a different type of improv. So 20 years, including short form, definitely counts.
Yeah. I, in so many ways, am surprised and incredibly grateful that I am still doing improv. I had a lot of years that were really tough. They were really bad. It happened twice with both with my high school team and with my college team. I had a great audition, made the team, and then immediately just had zero self-confidence. And it's very painful to watch somebody on stage not having confidence. It's incredibly painful to be on stage and not have confidence. I've been in shows before that I almost did not speak during the show. Like, we were on the last game and I was like, I literally have to say something. Otherwise, I will have done this entire show and said nothing.
Oh
And
my
like I said, too, I
gosh.
was one of two females like on the team. And so it was like, people are noticing me and I have nothing. I'm absolutely terrified on the back line. And I wanted to quit all the time. My practices were bad. My shows were worse. I had friends on the team, like who I became friends with through the team. They weren't people I knew ahead of time. And that really kept me in, I think. And then eventually I just got better. I just got more comfortable. I got more confident. But unfortunately, the same thing happened. I had graduated high school being like, I'm good at improv. And then I went to college and had the
Mhm.
exact same experience. I was good enough to get on the team. And then I was terrible for about 2 years. And yeah, and now I've learned so much from that. I've had such a roller coaster ride of an improv like history that I know where I am in my like ups and downs and I know how to navigate those. So my hope is that I never have another 2-year period where I'm really struggling. I could get out of it faster. But those ups and downs are definitely still there. But at this point, I'm like, I mean, if I didn't quit then when it was really hard, as long as I still love it, I'm gonna keep pushing through the hard times and just keep getting better. And it'd be so silly to quit now.
You're in too deep now.
I'm
You've
in
just
so
been doing
deep.
it for so long. You just have to
Yeah,
stay in it now.
and I think if I stopped liking it, that's one thing to be like, okay, this doesn't bring me joy anymore or whatever. But I think as long as I still love it, even if I feel like I'm personally struggling, I think it's worth learning how to power through because that's its own thing within itself.
I feel all of that you just said. I have about 4 years on my improv resume, so a fifth of yours. And this is one of my questions for you is I still feel, I mean, obviously 4 years, not a ton. I still feel like a beginner. And I don't feel funny on stage a lot of times. I don't feel funny in practices. Is the funny going to come at some point? It's coming, right? I've got to keep working on it. And yeah, you get in those periods, like you mentioned, like your 2 years of ups and downs and the self-confidence isn't there. So I appreciate you sharing that. And then I feel like there is hope that the funny will come and the confidence on stage will come too.
Yeah, I have a few thoughts about all of that. One thing that helped me a lot when I was newer that I heard somebody say is, okay, I'm, 33 years old and I have been like trying different forms of art and I've recently been into like collage, but I'm not good at it yet. And it's, well, I've only been doing it for like a year. Okay, so I'm a year old at this thing. Would you expect a 1-year-old to be good at anything? And so for a long time,
No,
I really did put that into the perspective of what I had, of being like, oh, I've been doing this for 4 years and I'm not good at it. And they're like, yeah, is a 4-year-old good at anything? Like, not really. So it's okay.
you're good at getting into trouble and
There you
causing
go.
mischief
There you go. Good
sometimes.
at some things, better than a 1-year-old. The other thing that I think about a lot too, and it's kind of like a lot of ways how you like frame it as well, of being like, I would bet money that a bad show for you now is at the same level that like a good show was for you a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
spot
like,
on.
and so it's really easy to get down on yourself and be like, I had a bad show. Well, like you from 3 years ago would have been stoked about that show you just had. So it still sucks to feel like you had a bad show, but we don't really see the growth that we have, when we're looking at each individual data point. As far as feeling funny too, I think that will definitely come. Confidence is definitely a huge part of it. That was the main thing that the years that I was bad, I don't think it was that I was not funny. I think it was I didn't have the confidence or the trust in myself to speak my funny. Like I was trying to do everything right, or I was trying to do everything how I thought other people would want it. And that's not what makes me funny. What makes me funny is speaking through the filter that is Amanda. Also, I did not come up with this, but another thing that I think about a lot is people who do improv or really anything. It's like you got into this because you had an inkling that like you might be good at this. Or maybe you had an early show that you felt funny and you were like, oh, I like this feeling. I want to make this feeling happen again. If you really thought you weren't funny, this would probably be of no interest to you. So there is something within you that goes, okay, I think I can do this. That's why I care about it. That's why I want to be doing it, even if I'm not performing at the level that I want to be yet.
Yet is always the key word.
Oh, I'm not performing at the level I want to be yet. I am constantly like, it's hard. It's hard when you like see, especially in LA, we see so many people who make improv look like magic. It is just
so true.
Mind-blowing. And then I do a show and I'm like, well, I'm not as good as so-and-so. And it's, you're not. Okay.
Right. Because they probably have 20 years on their improv resume too.
Yeah. But it's hard. It's hard not to compare. It's hard not to get down on yourself or get in your head. It's definitely part of the whole experience that is like trying to be an improviser, like in any kind of a semi-regular way.
I appreciate that perspective of a bad show now was probably, I would consider a good show when I first started. The moves that I'm making now are not the moves or the choices that I was making before. So I can see improvement there. And I can also see improvement even in some of the questions that I'm asking on the podcast too, because I have some standard questions of, well, what advice do you have for improvisers who get in their heads and are finding themselves always in their heads? And I still have that, but I don't feel like I'm always in my head now, or to the point where if I have a bad show, I'm like crushed. If I have a bad show, I'm like, all right, we're going to move on. Like I can move on quicker and faster from the bad scenes and bad shows. And so it's almost like, well, that question doesn't serve me. I'll still ask it for everyone listening who's at different parts in their journey. But I'm like, that's not quite the question that fits me anymore. So I could even see improvement there.
That's great. That's such a helpful thing to have those check-in moments of introspection to be like, oh, I'm understanding more of what I'm learning, or I'm finding myself making moves on stage that I wouldn't make before, or that my mindset is just changing. Like the problems that I was having as an improviser are now like shifting. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, you've been doing it for 20 years now, so clearly there's a love and a passion for it, even amongst the ups and downs. How have you seen improv and comedy in general help you in your life, in your personal life and professional life too?
Oh God, I think at this point it like
how long do
my
we
life.
have?
Well, I was like, oh my gosh, in some ways I don't really know who I am without it because I've been doing it for so long. Like truthfully, I have a day job, but this is my career in so many ways. This is the passion. This is what I think of when I think of my career.
Yes.
So many of my best friends I've met doing improv. My fiance and I met doing improv.
Oh, I was going to ask if he was an improviser. Wow.
Yeah, we met in 301 in 2016.
Wow.
We were just friends for a few years, but we were in a class that had a bunch of actors who were like taking improv because their agents wanted them to, but like I'm a
Uh-huh.
long-term improv nerd. My fiance Jeff is also a long-time improv nerd. And pretty quickly we like sniffed each other out as being like, oh, you're like the other improviser. And so we became really close friends and we were on a team together for a long time. And then eventually, when we both ended up being single at the same time, we kind of found each other romantically as well. But yeah, he runs a show called Fuck This Month at UCB, and they do some shows over at
Yes.
Dynasty Typewriters sometimes, which is very cool. So yeah, we're like a nerdy improv household. It's great.
Okay, I have to ask, how are your scenes together? Do you do a lot of shows or kind of scenes together on stage?
We don't perform together very much. Yeah, we used to be on a 3 prov team together, but that hasn't really come back since the pandemic. We're still friends with our teammate. We just don't really perform anymore. We've done a
Okay.
few shows together. We're silly. Like, I know his sense of humor so well, and he knows my sense of humor so well. So it's fun to set each other up like that. Yeah, he's a great performer and a really great show producer. And we talk about improv a lot.
That's awesome. I have to ask because my husband does improv too. He was
Yeah.
in the class
Yeah.
with you. And maybe it's because we were still new at it. Like all of our scenes just were not very good. Like we would actively avoid going into scenes together. Just one to play with other people too. But also like anytime I just couldn't suspend disbelief or something. I don't know. Sometimes it just felt very hard to do scenes and you would think it would be the opposite and it's almost frustrating that it wasn't the opposite.
I think it would feel that way a little bit for us now because we're out of practice playing with each other. I get that way in shows sometimes where I want him there for like his support and I trust him to give me like honest feedback about a show. So there's times that I'm like, oh, that was bad. And he's like, it wasn't. And I can trust that he's being truthful.
Okay.
But there's also times that I feel like if he's not there, I'm a little weirder on stage because it's one less person that I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of him. But if he's gone, I'm like, yeah, let's get weird, you know? So I can see how having your husband in the class could be a little like distracting in a way, even though you have the same
I'm
goals
good.
like individually.
I just picture you like, I'm gonna lick all of the clubhouse stage floors now. He's not here. Yes.
Yeah. And then I come home and he's like, what'd you do?
Oh no, not gonna kiss you tonight.
No,
Ooh.
no, 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 no. But yeah, going back to your original question, like improv is really like, I mean, in my relationships and it's my hobby, it's my career. It does help with work as well. I'm a project manager, I work in marketing, and I think it really helps me be creative, be flexible, be adaptable. I'm good at talking to people. I'm really good at using humor to like diffuse situations,
Yes.
especially when timelines are tight and it's like I need a bunch of stuff from a bunch of people who don't have time and the client's, angry and everyone's like
Mhm.
kind of tense. I really being that person to be like, okay, ultimately like I'm going to need what I need from you because I'm a project manager and that's my job. But how can we like use empathy and listening and humor and flexibility and like compromise to really like try to get the best out of everybody. And I think those are all skills that improv helps you with for sure.
Yeah, I love that. And I can see it helped me a ton too in my professional life. I want to ask since you've been on stage, you've been performing for 20 years. So did you ever have any fears of public speaking or were you always comfortable with all eyes on you, whether on stage or like giving a report or in the classroom or in whatever situation?
I would say improv is like the one area that I am comfortable with that. Everything else, I'm like, I don't want to do that, please.
So surprising.
Yeah, I didn't like giving reports in school. I did theater, I did plays, and then I do improv. I'm pretty good with anything scripted and anything improvised. I really don't like that middle ground of being like, yeah, just like go on, just like wing it and like just kind of hit these touch points. I'm the one being like, no, we need to have a script. We need to like know who's going to say what so that,
Okay, so that's the sketch comedy in you.
yes, I feel comfortable 100% improv or 100% like written. The in-between is hard for me. Yeah.
It's so interesting, just, differences, because I'm almost to the point where I'm like, oh, whatever, like I could wing it. It might not be great. My problem is sometimes I ramble a lot. I'm a talker. I think everyone listening who has listened to an episode is fully aware that I am a talker. I get it from my dad. Thanks, Dad. And if I don't plan or script or at least outline, then that's where I can go off the rails and talk for too long. So I do see the value in a script and writing it down and practicing, because that makes it more efficient.
But you're not afraid of public speaking though. And that's the whole point of this podcast, is like how to get better at.
Now I'm not. 10
Okay.
years ago, I was totally afraid. I hated all eyes on me. I hated the spotlight. Don't look at me. Don't ask me to think of something quickly. Like, I need time to mull it over. I need all the time to plan and prep. It's scary when 2 or more people are looking at me at the same time. So I've come a long way in 10 years, I will say.
Isn't it interesting that we've put ourselves in these positions to regularly be doing something that is terrifying? I mean, I love improv, but I still get nervous. And I have to remind myself, this is part of the process. Like being backstage, being like so nervous is part of it. And I just go, okay, this is part of what you signed up for. Like, you're going to be nervous and then you're going to feel really high afterwards. And part of that is because you feel nervous now. But then I also go like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself in a position that I feel
Right.
this terrible right now? But we do it. I don't know why.
I mean, listen, I love laying on the couch, watching Netflix and watching other people's creativity, but there is something about being on stage and discovering something with someone else, and it's totally made up on the spot. Watching it when it clicks, and then also being in it when it clicks. I feel like that's the chase. It's like I'm chasing that discovery feeling.
Going back to something you said before too about not feeling funny, I think keeping what you just said in mind, if I'm going for that discovery, like shifting the focus from I'm trying to be funny to be like, I'm trying to discover. I also sometimes find too that if I can go into a show with a playful energy of I'm not trying to be funny, I'm just trying to like be playful. That helps me a lot too, because then I tend to be looser and I tend to be weirder and I tend to be more flexible. And then I'm like, there's something inherently kind of like fun and funny about being like light and playful and weird. So maybe helping to shift that focus into discovery and into play could help you feel a little more organically funny.
Thank you for that reframe and reshift. And I have to share too that sometimes when I say something and I get a laugh, I'm almost surprised. It's getting better to where I can tell I am like, I know I'm doing a funny game move or something. But when I first started out and I would get laughs, I'm like, why are they laughing at me? Like, there was a part of me that was hurt that I was getting laughed at. And I think that stems from like, being younger and low self-esteem and you're bullied and made fun of. And so it's like a split second of like, why are they laughing? And then it's like, no, wait, I want this. So I've had to like train myself almost to be like, I want this. I am funny. I deserve laughter. Like I am worthy of laughter. Like it's a full training system in my mind going on right now.
Totally. I mean, that's also an interesting point too. In trying to be funny, like I don't know what the audience is gonna find funny. Like I kind of just have to trust my training. And when something is funny that the audience, they laugh, you can note that in your head and then it'll stay on that path or hit that pattern again or give them more of that. But like, sometimes the weirdest things get a laugh. Or I find myself laughing at something that you're like, oh, I don't think the improviser like intended for that to be a thing. I think they just responded honestly.
Right.
And that was enough that I was like, oh, we like truth. We like authenticity. We like human reactions.
Well, and I've definitely been on the flip side of trying to be funny and getting no laughs and then being like crushed. Oh, I thought my idea was so funny. And that is a humbling moment too of just like, be yourself. Don't try to do too much. Be playful. Have this discovery mindset. Because if you're trying to be funny, go do stand up, right? Like, do scripted stand up bits that are going to get more laughter, scripted laughter from the audience.
Yeah.
So in those times where you were feeling down, lower self-esteem and self-confidence, lower self-confidence on stage, let me just reframe that.
Hmm.
But you never really took a break, right? Like you still kept going and kept going through it, right?
Yeah, push through.
Because I've been feeling, and I think we're recording this in December, in the holidays. The end of the year is always
Mm.
tough, right? Like you're kind of tired, low energy. I don't know. I won't speak for everyone. I'm tired and low energy. And I don't have time to take a lot of classes. I don't have time to go see shows. Like I feel like the FOMO's real. I'm missing out. So my question for you is, have you ever felt tired of improv to the point that you took a break, or you were like, I recognize that I'm tired, or the self-confidence is low, but I'm going to keep going?
Yeah, no, I've definitely taken breaks. I guess to differentiate, I've never quit a team or stopped doing like a show that I'm regularly a part of, but I have definitely taken steps back. I think that is very normal and healthy, and we don't want to get burnt
Yes.
out on the thing that we love. Also, around the holidays, definitely like improv is weird in LA. A lot of the regular shows aren't happening because they fall in a weird time or people go out of town early. You know, LA is a city of transplants, so it gets really dead in LA, which is great, but it's always the time of year that I'm not doing a lot of shows and then I go, "Oh my god, are all my teams falling apart?" And it's just a weird month
Oh,
where people are busy and they're traveling and there's holiday parties and it's totally fine. Yeah, in terms of like being tired and wanting to take a break, do it. Improv's always going to be here. I am not somebody who's always in a class. Like that just doesn't really fit my style. So, yeah, definitely. What's the thing about if you have a bunch of writers in a writer's room and they never leave the writer's room, eventually they're just going to start writing about being in a writer's room. It's good to have these. So, like, go
oh,
and
that's so
like,
true.
and then when you come back to do improv, you now have all these new experiences that you can like reference, as opposed to being like, what did I do last week? I only went to improv shows and I only like practiced improv and I only had improv classes. And yeah, go live your life.
No, that's so good. And I think I'm bringing that energy into just how I'm feeling today.
Mhm.
And also, yeah, feeling that pressure. I always have to be in a class or be on a team or have a show coming up. And it's just chill out,
No.
brain. Like, we're fine. Improv will always be here, like you said.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's not going anywhere. Also, too, sometimes if I'm tired of improv, what I'm really tired of is, yes, I'm tired of doing shows. I'm tired of doing classes. I'm tired of watching indie shows. But what really brings me back
Mm,
to it is watching like a high level show and just being like, I'm an audience member watching masters be masters. And then that really helps me re fall in love with it. Because when you're at the clubhouse, like 4 to 5 nights a week, and you're like, I'm seeing a lot of okay improv, which it's amazing that there
yeah,
is a space for us to be okay. That is great.
absolutely.
But that's not the reason I fell in love with improv. So it's easier to get tired of
Yes.
it. Yeah, I feel very grateful that I'm in a position now where, because I feel like when I first started and I had teams that I was trying to get off the ground, you pretty much had to say yes to anything you could get. Like,
Hmm.
people would be like,
Yeah.
does your team want to do a show? It's at 11 o'clock on a Sunday. And we'd be like, well, fuck, we haven't done a
Yeah.
show in 2 months. Like, we kind of have to say yes. And the more you do it,
Hmm.
hopefully, ideally, the more you can be like, oh, I'm doing it a ton. That means I can be a little more picky, like for my own sake, knowing like, oh, I have work in the morning, or maybe I have a late show the next night. So I don't want to do that 2 nights in a row. Like, we're adults. We
Yes.
gotta take care of us.
For sure. Yeah. Just chilling out. I don't have to rush this process. I can enjoy it and
Hmm.
just see the improvements as I go instead of trying to rush to get good fast. Like it'll be fine. And I have to remind myself that because I'm very much a perfectionist and an
Hmm.
overachiever. And this is a whole, again, brain training thing that I am working on fixing right now.
Yeah, that's a hard spot to be in, but it's cool that you're working on it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you mentioned too being backstage and still feeling nervous. So, question for you, you're in the green room, you're about to go on UCB stage. Like, all right, so some people don't know what UCB is, but in the improv world, we know what a UCB is. I haven't been on stage there. It is my dream to get on UCB stage. You're in the green room, you're feeling nervous. What do you do as your pre performance routine to calm those nerves and trust yourself?
I remind myself that being nervous is part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
I try to channel that nervousness into energy. So usually, I don't know, like shaking out my body or jumping up and down, or like a lot of times it just goes straight into telling my teammates I love them. And I'm like, I got your back. I'm excited. Let's
Oh,
have fun. Something that I make all my teams do, I actually don't make Sober Show do this, but I think I'm probably going to start, is I like everybody to get in a circle and I like us all to say what our intention is going to be on stage. I think
love
this is a
that.
really
Yeah.
helpful practice. So I could be like, my intention, okay, I'm going to work on being committed and I'm going to work on like making character choices. And then everybody says theirs. And it's really helpful if you do get on stage and you're still nervous, you have this like touchstone. Or if you feel lost at any point, you can be like, okay, well, I'm just going to work on committing and I'm going to work on characters. And it grounds you a little bit. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, if I'm nervous backstage, as soon as I step out on stage and the audience is there and the lights and all that, that goes away. It becomes excitement. If I'm still
Yes.
nervous, then
Yeah.
when generally the first time I speak is when that starts to fade and then you're in it. But man, when I first started, I would get nervous about a show a week beforehand. And now, depending on the level of show, like UCB, sometimes I'm like, depending on what it is, I'm nervous that day or in the hours leading up to going to the theater. But now, pretty much like for the Clubhouse, it's like, for the most part, I only really get nervous like when the team before me, when their lights go out. Then I'm like, oh, okay,
Mm,
I'm almost done.
yeah.
So it's improved a lot, but it does depend on the stakes. It depends who I'm playing with. It depends who's in the audience. That's hard too. If you're like, oh, I love my teammates, but I'm playing in front of somebody who I really admire, I'm going to be nervous. Like,
It's helpful. No, it's helpful to hear that from an experienced improviser. Like, that everyone gets nervous. I feel that shift too. As soon as I step on stage, I am not as nervous. But what I've found, at least in musical improv, my nervousness isn't really in the voice, but it's in like holding back my choices or my play. And so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
comes getting more comfortable with the form of musical improv. I think regular improv, not as much, but I think that's where the nervousness still hits me as a newer improviser. Like it's still affecting my choices.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was years when I really had to force myself to be in the first scene. They'd give a suggestion and I'd be like, I'm stepping out. Because if I don't do this now, I have to wait another few minutes at least
Hmm.
to be able to do something that is going to then help this feeling pass. It's maybe a bit of an aggressive move depending on the circumstance, but it was my way of just being like, you don't have time to be afraid. Get out there, get it over with, and then you can relax. Once you've started, it feels good. And then we know we like that feeling. And then we want to be in every scene and we want to play and we want to have fun. And, I think it's good to know though, like across the board, like you're always going to be nervous. You're always going to have bad shows. You're always going to have things you can work on and learn and feel like you need to improve on. Like it helped me a lot to hear that stuff early on. That way I had the expectation of you're never going to feel perfect at this. So if we can manage that expectation, it gets easier. Today's Friday. I have a big show Sunday that I'm nervous about already. And I'm like going through a lot of this and just being like, okay, I'm nervous like that. What can I do to help it just exist?
I like that too, of admitting that you're nervous, because so many times I've been like, why are you nervous? Stop being nervous. Don't be nervous. And that is not helpful to anyone, especially myself, to hear it's okay. I am nervous. Here are some tools that I can do to help calm those nerves. And also, I admit that this show that I'm doing still causes me a little nerves. And that's cool. I'm
Mhm.
doing something new and exciting. That means I'm pushing myself and doing something different. See, we can reframe that too.
Mhm. Yep. It's part of the package deal.
I love it. Amanda, I want to take the quickest of breaks, and then I want to talk more about your current shows that you're doing and hear more about how they got started and some of the funny, wacky things you've done on stage besides lick the stage floor. So we will be right back. And we're back talking with Amanda Bonar, all about improv. Honestly, shifting perspectives and reframing our mindsets. It is super helpful for me to hear all of this right now. It's hitting at the perfect time. And Amanda, I want to ask you about your current shows that you've got on the lineup. So I hear Wild is on a hiatus right now, but in the past, Wild supports indie teams, which I think is great. It gives a space for indie teams to perform. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think makes a successful indie team?
Oh, I love this question. I definitely got started through the LA indie improv scene. We've talked about like UCB and how that is such a pinnacle of like improv theaters in
Hmm.
LA, really. But it's very hard to get on that stage. And traditionally, the only way to do that was to like make a house team, make a Herald team, make a mod team. These are teams that you audition for, and the theater goes, great, we'll take these people and then we will tell you when you perform. I
Hmm.
knew pretty early in my LA improv track that was not going to be what worked for me. Just that's just not who I am. That's not the kind of style that I'm good at. And so I really put all my eggs into the LA indie scene basket. What I think makes a good indie improv team, a group of people that you all like each other, like you're friends, you want to hang out, you want to
Yes.
bond, you want to play together because you're not going to get stage time initially. You want to like hang out together. Having a coach that you can regularly work with, I think, is the best way for an indie team to get better. I think this is one of the best ways to spend your money in the improv community. Like, you just get more personal attention working week after week with a coach. Generally, teams are not more than 8 people. So that's automatically like more
Hmm.
personal attention than you would get in a class that has like 12 to 16 people. And then I think just like being around, like when I was starting in the improv scene, my teams would just go to shows and meet people and talk to people. And eventually, showrunners were like, hey, you're here every month. Do you guys want to play next month? And we'd be like, yes, please. And that's how we
Yes.
started getting shows. And I run an indie show still. My team, Dick Cannon, has a Clubhouse show that we run monthly, and we've had it for 5 or 6 years now.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's old, but I love putting up new teams. 'Cause I'm like, yeah, come have fun, try new things. You got to get stage time somewhere. And I love giving new teams stage time where I can.
So was Dick Cannon an indie team starting out? And by the way, I love the team name Dick Cannon. That's mwah, amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we met in 201 and we formed out of that class. There was 5 of us originally, and then it ended up becoming 3 of us. And it's been 3 of us for, we've been a team for 8 years. I think it's been the 3 of us for
Oh my gosh.
7 of those years. And yeah, we were just like improv nerds who liked hanging out and wanted to do improv. And we got our Clubhouse show like not too long after we formed. And then Wild, my other team, Wild, is also an indie team. I only have indie teams really. So I think it's the best way to do improv because you are like kind of picking people that you like as people and you like as performers. And you can really have these amazing teams and working relationships and friendships. And it's really cool.
And Dick Cannon has like multiple different shows, right? So you have the Clubhouse show and then the Do the Dumb show, which is we alluded to that earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say we got to get into Do the Dumb. Do the Dumb is a bit show. So pre-pandemic, UCB used to have a bunch of late night shows. They were midnight shows, and basically these were the spaces where you could do lots of weird whatever you want because, frankly, not that many people are coming to them. So the people who are coming, like, they want something you can like only see at midnight.
Right.
And so we used to love these shows. We used to go to a bunch of them. And so pre pandemic, we pitched this idea called Do the Dumb, which is basically where we ask comedians to come perform their dumbest ideas. And we were actually supposed to have our first show in April of 2020. It did not happen, obviously.
Oh man.
Yeah. But post pandemic, when the theater reopened, we repitched it and we were like, and they were like, all right, come do it. It's a very, very fun
Yes.
show. It's so silly and weird, but we've done a bunch of dumb stuff. Like we talked about licking a stage floor. I've been naked on the UCB stage 3 times now. I've peed my pants on the UCB stage. I have
What? Oh my god.
Yeah, we did a bit where the 3 of us stood in a kiddie pool on stage, chugging water and
Oh my god.
intentionally all peed our pants. I've eaten a bunch of gross stuff. I've eaten spoonfuls of mayonnaise.
I heard that was a
What
recent
else have we
one.
done?
One on my team
That
was
was a
like,
recent
yeah, I went
one.
to the Do the Dumb show, and if they got something wrong, they had to eat spoonfuls of mayonnaise, and all of us were like,
It
"Oh,
was so
no."
bad. It was so much worse than I imagined it was gonna be. We've hit each other with, like,
Yeah.
electric ice waters.
Oh my god.
We've just done all sorts of stuff. Like, at this point, we're like, "Okay, what haven't we done, and how can we" Oh, we've made out on stage a bunch, like so, yeah, it's like that kind of a space where you're like, you gotta be kind of fearless and weird, and it's definitely, like, such an interesting side of improv to explore. Very clowning. I mean, clowning, they do a ton of this type of thing where you're
Right.
like, "Oh, you go to a
That's
clown
true.
show and you're gonna see somebody's dick."
Yeah, somebody's gonna get naked at a clown show. I think that's the common theme right now of clowning. I do clown
Yeah.
classes where it's more like exploring what you're
Yeah.
feeling in the
Good,
moment.
good. Yeah, yeah,
I love how there's a joke here of like when you're trying to conquer your fear of public speaking and people say, well, picture the audience in their underwear. Well, you've done the opposite. You've been in your underwear or less on stage, and the audience has been fully clothed.
Yep, both. I've been in just my underwear a bunch, and I've been not in my underwear a bunch. Yeah, I was really nervous going into that show, obviously, but it felt very
Yeah.
freeing. It was also so funny because, again, the 3 of us have been a team for 8 years now, and it's me and 2 guys, and we were like, "All right, it's gonna be weird. We're gonna see each other naked," but we were all so in the moment because we were doing stuff while we were naked. We weren't just, like, standing there. We were, like,
Okay.
we're cleaning. We were moving a bunch of stuff. It was, like, part of a sketch, and afterwards, we were like, "Oh, wow." We were also in the moment and continuing on with the sketch that none of us actually saw each other naked.
That's
And
awesome.
we're like, "Okay,
Yeah.
I guess that's the best case scenario." We did the thing without, like, it being weird between us.
That's impressive, really. And it didn't stop you dead in your tracks. One way or the other, you were not phased. You all continued with the sketch and the scene. And I'm sure it was very fun for the audience to watch you all.
Yeah, it was also very funny because all 3 of our partners were in the audience, just like, "They're doing
Oh,
this, okay."
oh my gosh. You're so brave. That's a brave, courageous thing to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you. It felt courageous.
Well, okay, so you've got the Do the Dumb show, your indie shows, and then the sober show. How did this come about? Because this is a relatively new show at UCB, right?
Yeah, the Sober Show, it's pretty new and it's really interesting. I think you said it in the intro, but this is a show of all sober in recovery performers, and we're doing improv based off of people's drinking stories. And sometimes we even share our own drinking stories, which is one of my favorite parts is like hearing the former lives of the other cast members. This was a show that I first saw. This was Jim Woods's idea, and him and Will Hines,
Okay.
a former guest, they put up the Sober Show at a little theater in Glendale called the Glendale Room. And this was
Mhm.
maybe a year and a half ago at this point. And I was like relatively newly sober and I saw that it was happening. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's an improv show like for sober people. Like, I have to go to this. And at this point, like, I knew Will pretty well. We had known each other for a handful of years. And I knew Jim in kind of like more of a passing sense. I hadn't taken a class of his yet or anything like that. We were just starting to know each other. And so I went to this show, and after that, I like talked to them. They were like, oh, you're sober. And so I got asked to do a couple of them, either like at the Glendale Room or at the Clubhouse. And ultimately, I think it just fizzled out. The Glendale Room is a hard location for certain shows.
Yeah.
And it was late. It was like at 9 and they just stopped doing it for whatever reason. And then I don't know, maybe 6 months or a year or something passed. And at that point, Jim and I had become really good friends. And I had been running Wild Indie Nights at UCB and I'd been running Do the Dumb. And so I was like very familiar with how UCB shows run. I was like, I feel comfortable as a producer there. And so I just asked Jim if he would be willing to let me try to pitch the show to UCB and bring it to UCB. And he was like, I'm in, but let me talk to Will. And then Will was in. And so the three of us then figured out like what we wanted it to look like and who the cast would be. We did one show there that sold out. They were like, we'll give you one show to try it. We tried it. It sold out.
Whoa,
And so they
wow.
let us keep doing it. And we got moved to a very nice time slot. We're a 7 p.m. show, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I've only
Prime
ever
time.
truly. And like for years, I was like, I can't get on this stage before 10 p.m. For years, I couldn't get on the
Right.
stage before midnight. So it felt like a really big, cool deal to be like, I have a show at a normal hour. And
Amazing. Bravo.
yeah, we feel like very grateful for how it's going. We've clearly tapped into something that people are interested in. There's like a huge sober community or people that I didn't even know were sober or people that are interested in becoming sober. And it feels really cool. And like, I hope it's like helping to like normalize it a little bit or show people that like can still be funny. And yeah, it's cool.
I think that's amazing. And I've read in like the UCB description too, it's not just comedians doing drunk stories, it's comedians who are sober in sobriety. They're not just sober for the night. Like everyone's like
Yes.
making this commitment to be sober for life. So I think that's really powerful too, that there's this group that recognizes like, hey, we are sober now and we want to perform. Because I think that is inspiring to people who are on their sobriety journey to be like, that's cool that there's this sober show I can go watch and laugh about all these fun drunk stories, but don't have to drink either.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I felt when I saw them advertise the sober show the first time. It felt like there was this little area for like comedy and sobriety and like people who understood kind of what I was going through. Cause, back in the day, it was like every show had beer and every show was like a party beforehand or you go to the bar after or whatever. I think that's changed a little bit post pandemic, or maybe I'm just older and the people I'm around are older. But it felt cool to be like, we all know we're on the same level of this. Yeah, this is also the first show that I've been a solo producer of. Jim and I work like very closely together to run the show, but all my other like Dick Cannon, we all do it together, or Wild, we all do it together. It's cool to like have it be like, this is my show that I am making everything happen behind the scenes. And that feels really neat. It's like a interesting to explore a different side of the improv world.
Oh, that's incredible. Look at that growth and improvement. That's amazing. I love hearing that. Do you mind sharing like how long it took you to get sober or like anything that helped you? Because I've had guests on who've talked about becoming sober and improv helped them. And obviously, improv is just a piece of the puzzle. But anything you want to share in terms of your sobriety to go along with this sober show?
Yeah, I am like 2 weeks away from 2 years alcohol free, which,
Bravo. Congratulations.
yeah, this is my like second big go around. I previously had a year and a half and then went back to drinking for like 3 years and kind of always knew I needed to go back to it. Yeah, I think the biggest thing I can say about sobriety is like, it doesn't solve all your problems, but it gives you the clarity to be able to start to solve all your problems. A big thing about the sober show is, yes, like you said, we're all in recovery. It's very like 12-step based. Like I myself am in a 12-step program. And the whole thing is you stop drinking, but then the whole program is basically how to live your life so that you don't need to drink. Like alcohol being a symptom of a bigger problem, not necessarily the problem itself. which, it is also the problem
Yeah.
itself. But like, yeah, it's a way that people show they're not doing okay. And so how can we fix things so that you're doing okay, so that you don't feel like you need to escape your life or numb out or get fucked up every night?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think improv is also tied to that in a big way because it helps you find yourself, and it is about like being truthful and being like authentic. Like a lot of really great improv is just that. It's like, it's very vulnerable. It's very like scary, but like it's connecting though also.
I appreciate you sharing that because I know that's part of the steps, right? Is to share about it and talk about it and be vulnerable. And yeah, I do feel like there's a movement, a little bit of just alcohol in general. Like we just don't need to drink. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading stuff online that it is hitting me personally. I just put out an episode about my relationship with alcohol, and it was not affecting me to the point where I felt like I need to get sober, but it is a big part of my life. It is a big part of the culture that I've grown up in. And I'm in the place, we're of similar age. I'm 35 and I'm like, I don't need this anymore. Like it is not serving me. Like I don't need it socially. I don't need it to be funny. I can be on an improv stage without it. So I feel that too, that it's a cool movement to be like, hey, it's cool to be sober and you could still be a funny human and be on stage and do all the things too.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do think we're getting a lot of like sober curious stuff. So many more bars carry non-alcoholic beverages, and like people stop drinking for a variety of reasons. It's not just because like people think they might be an alcoholic. It's like people have anxiety or allergies, or they just realize it's not really
Yeah.
serving me anymore. Oh man. Also, as
Yeah.
we get older, it's harder to recover from it. You're like, I had
Yes, that too.
one drink too many and I feel it for 3 days. Like that's not worth it. So yeah, I think it's cool as a
No,
society
not
we're
at all.
moving away from it.
Well, and even like networking too, like I go to conferences a lot with my work and speaking and stuff, and there's always a networking thing. And there's a bar and there's alcohol and it's like people rush to the bar because we need it in order to communicate with each other and be social and have connection. It's like, no, actually I can stand with you and look you in the eye and be present and ask you good questions and we can just talk and actually we don't need the alcohol.
Yeah, 1,000%. There's so many benefits to not. And, when I was drinking, I didn't want to hear any of those benefits. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. So sometimes it's hard to like talk about alcohol as a sober person without coming across as preachy, because I certainly understand the reasons that people want it. But I do agree with you that like the benefits greatly outweigh the temporary in the moment benefits of being like, I'm relaxed and I'm not nervous and I am blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's been shown though that effect of alcohol only lasts for 20 minutes. And then after that, it starts to
Oh,
drop off
wow.
in your system. So then you have to re-up to try to get it again. And that helps me a lot too. What times when I'm like, oh, I wish I could drink right now. And I'm like, for what? So that I feel okay for 20 minutes. And then it starts a cycle that is like terrible. Yeah. Learning how to better communicate and be more confident and know yourself is overall like such a better long-term way to deal with those kind of problems.
I didn't know that stat about the 20 minutes. So not even a full, sometimes indie show length. So if you drank before improv, like it wouldn't even help you for a full indie show. So it's not even helpful to drink beforehand. I say that because I have had drinks before shows and I sit there like stewing in my nervousness. Like it feels even more heightened, the nervousness. And I'm like, okay, I'm never drinking again before a show because it's not helpful like you think it would be.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So you are performing in shows, you're producing shows, you're doing all the things. Where do you see your improv journey headed? Do you have any big improv success goals? Like if I make it on this, then I've made it and everything else will be a bonus.
I think in general, I could be somebody who is better about having goals, like defined goals. Something that Dick Cannon does that I think is really cute and fun. Every year we make team goals and then we make individual goals.
Oh,
And so then the following year, like around the same time, we'll review them and see like how we did. And
that's
that is the
awesome.
only like real, thank you. It's the only like real record I have of coming up with a goal. My goal for this past year was to become better known as an individual improviser. I get booked a lot with my teams This was pre-sober show. Wild gets booked a lot. Dick Cannon gets booked a lot, but I don't really get asked to do a lot as an individual. And I think I hit that goal this year. I think sober show helped that. And then just like meeting new people and like I'm getting asked to do a little bit more. I think my goal for 2024 is I'd like to continue that goal of being known as an individual. I'd like to be a better performer, like just continue to grow and improve, which, as we have said, is sometimes hard to track that, but I have the intention. And then I think my third thing is I want to be better at performing authentically no matter where I am. I think there are shows that I'm very comfortable with, and then I am able to like really snap into my high gear and I'm able to knock it out of the park. But as soon as I'm somewhere that I'm like nervous or I'm playing with people that I've never played with before or I'm playing with people who are better than me, I shut down a little bit and I play it a little safe or I play it a little reserved. And I think that is making me forgettable in these instances where I need to learn how to step up and play as my best self to accurately represent who I am as a performer, because I don't think I'm going to get asked back the way that I'm playing it safe. I think I need to be able to show what I can do, and then people will either like it or not. So I think that's my main goal, is being able to rise. I'm getting new opportunities, but now I need to work on rising to those opportunities and showing up the way that I want to be as a performer.
I love that. That is brilliant. It's so powerful, that goal. I feel that the playing it safe thing, I think I kind of referred to it as like when I'm nervous, then I play it safe and I don't make bold choices and stuff. I tend to stay more on the sidelines. And in my experience recently, my musical improv team, we auditioned at West Side Comedy Theater, and like they have a whole audition process. Like it's really hard to get in. We knew it was very difficult, but it was a 15-minute set too, so it's so quick, and I could feel it. Like my throat was dry. I didn't feel as playful, and I definitely was more reserved in that 15 minutes. So I at least feel what you're talking about too, of that. And yeah, just like being more playful and not playing it safe, like being the player that we are too, and being okay with being that player, but not the safe player that we default when we're nervous.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And I acknowledge too, it's hard. Like I wish it was as easy as me just being like, I'm gonna do this differently. I'm still trying to like hack for myself. Okay, I know what I want to do. Like, how do I now execute that? It's funny, like even the timing of this podcast, because I've like definitely been feeling more insecure on stage, and I feel like I'm not playing at the level that I want to be or that I'm capable of. I'm in a little bit of a slump, and it's now I am trying to figure out, okay, how do I fix that? How do I get out of that? How do I like start to show up for myself in this way? And I know that I'm still going to have occasional shows that I go like, I played it safe or I was not confident or whatever. But like as a whole, how can I start to turn this around? And it's hard. I'll let you know how it goes.
Well, I imagine the pressure of the slump compounds and makes it even harder to get out of the slump, because you're like, I'm in a slump. I need to get out of it. This is going to be the show that makes or breaks it and gets me out of this slump. I can relate to like speeches. I'm like, this is the speech that's going to conquer my fear of public speaking, and I'm going to be better speaker. Everyone's going to know me as a better speaker now because of this speech. And it's, good Lord, that's a lot of pressure. And I don't know if that's the amount of pressure you're putting on yourself, but I imagine feeling like you're in a slump can then put that heavier weight of pressure on you.
Totally. Yeah. Which is not fair to ourselves, but it's kind of just the way the human brain works. Yeah. I have a big show in 2 days, and I'm like, be cool if I had a lower stake show between now and then, like maybe build up a little bit of confidence between now and then. But again, it just is going to be what it is. And maybe it'll be a great show. I have no idea. I can't tell the future. Whether or not I like had a fuck around show tonight beforehand, before the big show in 2 days, I'm like, the amount of knowledge in my body is the same. Like I've learned everything that I've learned. I am who I am. It's all going to come out the way it comes out. I can't really control it. I'm still going to be so nervous though. And I'm going to think about me talking in this moment.
Yep, a wise Amanda once told me that I should reframe it as I'm trying to be more playful and
Discover.
discover more on stage. So, I don't know, that's what a wise Amanda once told me, and I'm just relaying the message too.
I'm gonna text you in 2 days and be like, "What did I say? Now you help me feel better."
I mean, that's what we're here for.
You're never not nervous, you're never not learning, you're never, it's part of it.
I appreciate you sharing because it helps. Because sometimes you leave the stage and you're just like, God, that was terrible. But then everyone else seems okay with it. So then you're like, am I the only one that feels this way? And I must be the only one struggling. And I don't think that's the case, but we just don't voice this kind of stuff all the time to to hear it. Well, I think you're going to do great. You are going to crush on Sunday. You're going to be great because you have not only 20 years of experience, but you're super fun. You're super playful. You have stood on stage naked. You have licked a stage floor. You've eaten spoonfuls of mayonnaise in front of people. You have done all of the dumbest things in front of an audience. So, you standing up and doing improv, which you are fully capable of doing, will be fantastic.
Thank you. I'm gonna take a little recording of you just saying that and then play it as I fall asleep.
Right? Okay, I might not have the reel ready for Sunday, but I will clip that and then we'll put that up and that can be for every improviser too. But mostly
Okay.
you cuz probably no one else has done all of those dumb fun things on stage like you
Yeah,
have.
yeah. No, nobody should. I shouldn't have, but
All right, so we are in December 2023 recording this and this will get released in 2024. So any creative goals you want to accomplish? You know, you do improv, you do sketch comedy. Are there any other creative outlets that you're trying to dabble in?
I have a sketch comedy goal. I'll talk about that. Dick Cannon previously wrote a sketch show for UCB that ran for a year, and it was so fun and weird, and we loved it. And
Of course. Of course it was.
it was weird. This was pre-pandemic, and ever since then, we've been like, we have to write a new show. And I think 2024 is
Mm.
going to be the year that we finally write our next show, and it's going to be weird, and it's going to be fun, and it'll give me a little break from improv because I'll have this other thing to throw my creative mind in. Yeah, we love doing sketches too that have a lot of dance and like music. It's fun. It's like a
Yes.
very creative side that is so different than improv. I also like doing a lot of art. I'd like to keep working at that. I haven't been doing it as much recently, but I think different forms of creativity are probably really good for your brain and probably all really help each other out. So maybe that's
Mhm.
another trick. If I'm feeling an improv slump, put it into writing or put it into like visual art or put it into dance or I don't know, something.
That is one of my goals for 2024, like creative goals is to try a dance
Yeah.
class.
I love that. I want to do
Yeah.
that. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Any type of dance you're interested in?
Any kind of like choreographed dance. I like to flail around, put some music on, and I'll like pretend like I'm a ballerina and I flail and I'm an interpretive dancer and it looks silly. Like I know what I'm going for here, but I want to like actually do something choreographed where I follow someone and have to remember steps and moves and then flow and not be so stiff trying to do all the moves. So, I don't know. I've researched a few places, but I just have to really actually hit order and sign up for it.
I love that. That's awesome. That sounds so fun. And I bet you'll feel so good having done it.
Yes. I feel like that's a fairly easy goal. Like, I just have to go do a class or either a 6 week or just one. I don't know what it entails, but that's it. That feels a lot easier than the other goal of doing a stand up class or like doing more stand up, which is on my 2024 list too.
I also want to try to do stand up, which, man, I know I want to try it. And also, it seems so terrifying. And I just, same thing. I haven't really done the initiation of signing myself up for something, but good for you, man. You're doing a ton.
Well, I did one class. That was my goal in 2023 is to do a stand-up class. And I did one, like a 4 week, like almost bare minimum. And I loved it, though. I enjoyed it. It was with a very supportive instructor, Solange Castro. She created a really supportive environment. It was really great. And so I just have to I think keep going. I have some bits and I've written stuff and I'm just like scared to do the open mic stuff. It's very intimidating. And once I do it, I'll be fine.
Yeah, that's a big leap. And that's like, it's scary too, like not only to do it, but you're like, I'm entering into a world that I don't really know. I think about this a lot too, boy. Like, you got to be bad at something before you can be good at it. And you got to be okay at something before you can be good at it.
So true.
And that's hard. It's hard. But like, on the one hand, I'm like, okay, great. If I just know that's what it's going to be, then I can be easy on myself about it. But on the other hand, I'm like, cool. So I'm going to start something knowing I'm going to be bad at it. I think I'm a little bit of a perfectionist like you. And I'm like, I don't want that. I want to be good at it. I want to be good at things. So I commend you for trying this new stuff that is notoriously very hard and scary.
Thank you. But the more that you do it, right, the less scarier it is. And
Yeah.
I will take all the classes in the world. Classes, I think, are an easy kind of foot in the door to actually try something. So I will take all the classes. But yeah, open mic nights, I have to just step in and just do it and force myself to do that. Amanda, last question for you. I ask this to almost every single guest, so I have to ask it to you as well. How do you embody a yes and or growth mindset in your life? We've talked about it for the past hour and a half, but I'm sure you have other ideas. So how do you embody that?
I definitely think I have a growth mindset. I'm somebody who I really like self-help books and I do want to better myself. I hope I'm achieving that in some way. Maybe everyone in my life would disagree. I think just like trying to get better at the things that I love or that I want to be better at. Wow, that was not an eloquent sentence, but you know what I mean?
It's all good. Yeah, no, yes, and it was wonderful, right? And we've just been talking about that too, of like signing up for things you're not good at. That's a yes and as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, also with the yes and mindset, I do generally try to say yes to things that are new. That was one of my goals for a long time, is just like, say yes to new opportunities. You know, like we were talking about stand-up and stuff. I was like, if somebody asked me to do a stand-up show tomorrow, I'd be like, wow, I'm terrified, but I think I should say yes. I think that's something that like, I don't have a reason not to. Like, yeah, I should say yes to things that I think could challenge me or provide me with a new experience, which I think is both a yes and possibly a growth as well. So, wow, I just won that assignment.
There you go. Boom. Mic drop. And I forgot to ask too, for 2024, you mentioned your fiance. You recently got engaged. I saw your post on social media. Congratulations. That's so exciting.
Thank you. Yeah,
Do you have a date set yet?
we do. The venue contract is not quite signed yet, but we're looking
Okay.
at October of 2024.
Oh, yay.
How long have you guys been married?
7 years. I should know that quickly, but
Aw.
June 2016. So yeah, 7 years. And then we've been together for like 15 because we met
Wow.
our freshman year of college.
Aw, I love that.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's another creative outlet for you is wedding planning too in 2024.
Yeah, that's probably going to be some of that too. Talking about taking a break, like you got to shift your priorities to be flexible. So,
You've got a big fun event coming up that does take a lot of planning, but it can be fun. I did stress out too much in the planning, and it's just so much fun. You'll have a blast, especially with a bunch of improvisers at your wedding. I imagine you'll probably have quite a few. Oh God, what a party.
two improv nerds who have both been doing improv for a long time. It's gonna mostly be improvisers, and then like my poor family having to deal with people doing bits and stuff. It'll be fun.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's so exciting. Congratulations. Oh, I can't wait to see all the planning and pictures and stuff. That'll be great. Well, Amanda, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for being willing to share and being vulnerable and also giving advice because I needed to hear and then you were vulnerable too. I really appreciate it. This was a lovely conversation. I enjoyed every minute of it. And where and how can our listeners find out more about you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I think it's just at Amanda Bonar. And then through my page, you'll see all my different other pages for each of my teams and shows and all of that. If you're in
Yes.
LA and looking to catch a weird show or a sober show, you can find all of that there.
Do the dumb, the sober show, and you usually post anything else that you're in on your stories and such. So, yeah, follow you on Instagram to get all the latest updates. That's great. Anything else to plug or add? Honestly, this has been amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I could talk about improv forever, so I really, really appreciate it.
And we sure tried. I mean, I think all of our listeners now are like, all right, these are good long episodes and not in a bad way. Like, I can clean my whole house, I can go on a nice walk. And that is what you can expect here at the Improvly Speaking podcast. We can't just talk about improv for 20 minutes. This conversation needs more than an indie time slot. We need a full hour and a half to really get into it about improv. And we certainly did today. Amanda, thank you so much. I enjoyed it, and I can't wait to come see a sober show or a do the dumb show soon.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to today's episode. I am so inspired by Amanda's vulnerability today and just how she shared the behind the scenes and her thoughts in her head that I think we all have had as improvisers at some point, whether we're newbies or even going through the process. I think we've all had those thoughts of doubt and are we enough? And oh, I'm not doing this right. And so I just really appreciate Amanda sharing that. It's funny, I think back to my journey and I loved improv when I first started because it was so freeing and silly. And that's exactly why I still love improv today. But I have noticed that as I started to go through the thick of things and get into the levels and the classes, that it got to be really heady and analytical, depending on where I took the classes and such. But just all the notes would become not overwhelming. They would be very helpful, but it's like, oh, I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing this right. And I can do this better. And I can do this better. And it just became this long list of improvement instead of just this amazing space to just be free and have fun. And both of those things are important to improve and also to just have fun and be in this free, silly space. And so I just have to keep reminding myself of why did I start this in the first place? Can I let go of that perfectionism and wanting to be funny on stage and just play and discover what comes up? I know all these things, and I know that you don't necessarily go into it wanting to be quote unquote funny on stage. The funny comes as it develops and as you discover new things. If you force the funny, it's not usually funny because you're trying too hard. And I know all this, and yet, I still struggle. And that's okay. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to just reflect on where you are. And like Amanda said, where I am now is definitely not where I was a few years ago. I have certainly improved. I have certainly gotten better. And I can definitely agree to that. So again, when you're feeling all these thoughts of doubt, reflect on what's coming up, what's going on, and also just reflect on how far you've come to in this process and journey. I love, love, love that Amanda's mom took her to all these musicals and improv shows as a kid. So when we recorded this, I was actually about 6 to 8 weeks pregnant at the time. Now, I didn't tell Amanda at that point and didn't bring it up on the episode because it was so early. I don't even know if we had gone to the doctor at that point just to confirm and make sure everything looked good. I really wanted to get through the first trimester before I told a lot of people. So I didn't bring it up. But as she was talking about it in the episode, in my head, I was like, oh, that's so sweet. I hope that I can take my little girl. And I didn't know it was a little girl at that point. But I was like, oh, I hope I can take my kid to musicals and shows. I really hope they like that. I want to be an advocate for the arts and theater. And later on, I found out that it is a girl. And, it's okay if she doesn't like the arts and theater. She may not be into it. Totally okay. I won't force it. But if she is into it and likes the first one that we go to, then I will make sure that we see all the shows and listen to all the soundtracks. I love Disney movies. I haven't seen a lot of the newer ones, but I love Disney movies. And I'm just going to say it right now that little baby G will see all the Disney movies and will branch out and explore and discover from there. I have a feeling I'll be watching the same Disney movies over and over again, too, as she finds the ones that she likes. And that is totally cool, too. And I can't wait to see what she likes and loves as a little girl. Switching gears a bit, I just want to make the comment that I love how crazy Amanda and her team have gotten with the Do the Dumb show as well. That is really impressive. And I'm just in awe of all the crazy things they've done on stage. We talked about them in the episode and just totally impressed. And also, I wanted to give an update. We kind of talked about things we were working on. It was the end of 2023 when we recorded, so we were kind of talking about our goals, things we wanted to do in 2024. So, update for you, at least on my end. I have not done a dance class or a stand-up class this year. Obviously, some things have come up. I have been focusing on growing a human inside of me and making sure she's healthy and growing and getting all that she needs. Honestly, if I did a stand-up class, all my jokes would be about being pregnant, which is fine. I had all mom jokes before, and maybe I kind of manifested that with all my mom jokes and my pod mom stuff. Really manifested the mom thing. But I'll wait on the stand-up class. I'll certainly work on some material, and when the time is right, I will take a class or explore the open mic scenes when I can. It's still on the list, and it will definitely happen. Also, I think the choreographed dance class goal that I had will look a little different than I imagined, and again, totally cool. I saw some Instagram ads for dance classes where you can wear your baby in the front pouch or like little baby Bjorn, baby sling thing, and then do a dance class where you follow the instructor, but you're dancing and also holding your baby at the same time. And that looks so fun. That looks really cool. I'm excited to check that out as baby G gets older and, of course, can hold her head up and hopefully likes the baby Bjorn holder and likes being in it. But that sounds like so much fun to do, and that will check off the dance class goal. Just a little different than I had expected in 2023. Throughout this episode, and I think a lot at the end too, Amanda and I talked about nerves and how nerves will sometimes affect us. We might play it safer when we're nervous. We might not initiate or do the thing that we're thinking of. We might get really judgmental in our heads. And I feel this a lot in improv and public speaking as well. I won't let go as much. I won't be as loose. I know and I can tell when I'm nervous because my throat is usually dry. I've been feeling that sometimes when I do musical improv shows. And then when I'm in the shows, I usually hang out more on the back line or I just feel more hesitant or passive. I have been feeling very passive lately as a pregnant lady performer. There's a lot going on in my head. There's a lot of pregnancy brain fog too. And sometimes I don't feel as quick thinking. And again, you don't have to be quick thinking in improv. You just have to suspend judgment and let go of perfection. And I've been really in my head a lot and the nerves been getting to me. And again, I just have to go back to my breathing routine. I have to go back to my pre-performance routine. And oftentimes when I do a breathing routine and kind of a pre-performance, just, slow down, breathe, check in with myself, calm down the nerves, calm down the heart rate, I usually speak better and perform better in my shows or my speeches or presentations. And so I want to ask you, do you notice the nerves getting in the way of your performance or affecting what you want to say or do on stage as an improviser, as a speaker, as a professional in your personal life, wherever it is? Do you find that nerves are getting in the way and kind of limiting you from growing and becoming the performer or the thing you want to become? And if so, how can you combat that? Nerves may never go away, and that's okay. You have to accept that. Nerves are an important part of the process because it lets you know that you care about the thing you're doing. You can also reframe it as excitement and energy. You can also breathe and calm down and slow down the heart rate, slow down the mind. That is important for me to do. I tend to talk very fast. I tend to get really excited. And when I slow down, I am more in control of what I'm saying. We also talked about how we get nervous the day of or even a few days ahead of time for a show, or sometimes in my case, a speech or presentation or a conference. And that can happen. That can happen with everything you do. And again, it shows that you care. It shows that you're excited about it. It's the uncertainty of it. We don't know how the show or the speech will go, so we're nervous. We're nervous about how we'll show up. We're nervous about how we'll be perceived. And so it's all a lot of uncertainty because we just don't know the outcome yet. And it's okay to just sit in that and admit, hey, I am nervous about this. I'm going to do some extra breathing. I'm going to do my extra routines to help accept that nervousness and also make sure that when I am up doing the thing, that I feel good about it and I'm totally in the moment and not letting my nerves affect me. So I really encourage you to just lean into that and not discourage yourself and not be upset when you notice the nerves, and actually say yes and to your nerves and accept that they're there, and then build upon your routine or whatever you need to do to not let those nerves get in your way. They can still be there, but then the minute that you step on stage to perform, to speak, whatever it is you're doing, you flip that switch, you go into performance and speaking mode, and you are golden. And that feels amazing when it happens. Let me know what works for you, what you discover or have discovered that has helped you in conquering or combating those nerves. Or I hesitate to use the word conquering because you don't have to conquer it. You just have to work with your nerves and accept them, and then also build off of them and make sure that they don't get in the way when you are performing. So I'd love to hear from you what works for you. Please reach out about that or anything else that you enjoyed in this episode, any cool takeaways that you had. Please reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Improvly Speaking. On LinkedIn, I'm at Dayna Gowan. And my website is improvryspeaking.com. I also highly recommend giving Amanda a follow on social media so that way you know when her shows are coming up. If you're in the LA area, please check out the Sober Show at UCB and also the Do the Dumb Show. Those sound like amazing shows, and I'm definitely going to check them out as well. And I also want to go watch and support Amanda as she's putting herself out there more and challenging herself as an individual and also as an improv team member. Thank you so, so much for listening and supporting Improvly Speaking. I'll remind you, as I always do, to go out and flex your creative thinking and not let those nerves limit you or get in your way. I'll talk to you next time.